Big Boy's
Big
Neighborhood.
Boy.
All righty now. If you hello, what up, Liz? Hey man, now I really wanted to sit down and do this discussion, this round table, and we called in a lot of good friends, a lot of personal people, their stories, but I really wanted to speak with David Kessler. We had you in the neighborhood. Kobe had passed. There was a lot of emotion. People are still feeling extremely emotional. And we had a chance to speak on when something happens, it also taps into our emotions. Like for some reason, when Kobe passed, you said it opens up our emotions where we start feeling personal things. So we had you in the neighborhood, and David, it really felt like we didn't have enough time to really talk. And I wanted to come back and present just a round table, an open discussion. I don't really have like a lot of notes. I just wanted to just kind of build with you and just kind of talk with you as well. Natalia is going to be hanging out with us. We got Liz. Liz is a personal friend of mine, personal friend of yours.
Absolutely.
I've known her longer and much better. And you know what I'm saying?
Battled out.
You know, Ida is here. My friend Natalie, her business partner Adrian, Jose, who has a story as well. So first off, we want to say welcome back to the neighborhood.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
And you know what? How do we continue to smile when we feel like it's so heavy?
We continue to smile by knowing we can't change how long we have. We can change the quality of the time we hear. If you're looking for what you really have control over, it's whether or not you smile while you're here, whether or not you laugh while you're here. We don't get to decide how long we're going to be here. So this is our chance to smile. And when we think about the people in our lives who have died, they would not want their life or their death to take our smile away.
Right.
So true.
Should we be afraid of grieving? Should we be afraid of death?
I'll tell you something I learned I had never understood before, and it was fascinating to learn this. Buffaloes, when they feel a storm coming, they run into the storm. So they're in the storm less time. We, on the other hand, run from grief. So it always stays behind us. Instead of just being with it, and the hard part will pass over us. So it's interesting, running from grief, like we think grief is a lot of work. Avoiding grief is even more work.
That's so true.
More work.
It's not getting over it. It's going through it, right?
Right.
But and you know, it sounds. I've been through it. I'm pretty sure everybody in this room has been through something. And when you're faced with a so-called challenge, or when you're faced with with grief, like when my mom passed, as a child, David, I always feared my mom passing. Always feared it. And I would always, even as a kid, I'll say to my mom, I want to go first. And she was like, you're not going to go first, baby. No parent wants, their kid to go first. And when my mom did pass, that was one of the most so-called scariest moments in my life, the most vulnerable, the most you feel alone. I didn't know how to wake up the next day. As going through life, how do you wake up the next day? And when my mom passed, I had to wake up the next day.
Right, and you did.
Yeah.
It is built into our soul, into our psyche, into our heart. We are built for loss. I say we come from a long line of dead people. Like every ancestor of ours died. There's something inside of us that knows how to keep going. We don't think we will, but we do. We get up the next morning. Sometimes people go, I'm just not going to go on. I can't continue.
Yeah.
And I'll go, take your socks off. Your toenails are still growing. Your heart is still beating. You are continuing, even though you can't imagine.
What
you
about
ever
when we
will.
feel like we can't?
Then
Is it okay to lay down? Is it okay
Absolutely.
to? Okay.
Absolutely. And I also say to people, the death of someone we love is a permanent loss of them physically. Your hope being lost is temporary. I remind people you can find your hope again. And when I'm with someone who feels hopeless after loss, I will tell them I hold their hope until they can find it again. I have hope for you.
And I really know this by heart. I lost both of my parents by the time I was 13. And obviously you go
Tell
through.
us their first names.
My father's name is Max and my mother's name is Irma.
And your mom again?
Ida.
Ida, that's right.
And so I realized like I went through a lot of stages, right? You go through a lot of different emotions. But the one emotion that I can recall very loud was anger. I was very, very angry because the way I saw it was my mom was very young. My siblings and I, that's all we had left. And so I felt like, why would God be doing this? Obviously, you find something to blame, and God was the only person or the only thing I could blame, right? Because I prayed and I prayed. And I just remember the anger that I felt because I prayed so hard. And I remember feeling like, why would you do this to this woman? Like, she was angelic. She was everything. And you took her away from us. Now, why would you put me and my 3 brothers and my entire family through this? It's dealing with that anger. Like, how do people deal with the different, I would say, emotions that you go through?
And that anger is normal, huh?
That anger is normal. Not only that, that anger is grief. It is a feeling we have in grief. And I always tell people, anger is pain's bodyguard. Anger is pain's bodyguard. You're really having pain underneath, but the anger comes first. And I'll tell you, part of the problem, we live in a society that doesn't allow anger. We don't like anger. Like, I was scrolling through my feed one day, and all of a sudden as I'm scrolling, I see, for every day you smile, you get another day on earth. For every day you're angry, you lose a day. And I'm like, oh, that pisses me off. Oh, shoot, lost another day.
Yeah.
I'm down one.
Right? And yet, how can someone we love, or even a divorce, I mean, there's all kinds of other losses and breakups and betrayals. There's tons of grief out there. How can those horrible things happen and us not get angry? So it's really normal to be angry. And just like you said, you had to place those emotions elsewhere. And I always tell people, I'd rather anger goes out than goes in. When people turn their anger on themselves, that's what's really the tough thing to deal with.
And the hope does come back. The hope really does come back. And it's going to be 19 years since my mom passed away. And for the first year, I could say last year, I didn't feel depressed. I was finally able to be okay. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I miss my mother with every single bone and vein inside of me, but I'm okay. Like, I'm at peace. And I find a lot of light in all of the years that I had with her, even though they were 13 short years. I realized how much she taught me and how much love she gave me. I know so many people on this planet that have their moms and don't have that relationship or don't know what love is. So it's like I can sit here and, be so sad that I was robbed, so to say, of these years with my mother, or I can celebrate the fact that I did have a wonderful, beautiful mother that taught me so much love. And that term, unconditional and eternal love, like, I know that because of that woman, and I feel so blessed because of that. And like you said, like, that's my hope, that like now I know that and I can pass that on to other people that really, truly don't know what that's like.
And even that word bereave means robbed. You feel robbed.
You do.
And I'm so curious if you now could go back to yourself when she died and whisper something in your ear to get her through, what would you say to that little girl?
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Like, I just realized in that moment, like, my mom equipped me with so much. So everybody always asks, like, how did you do it? How did you do it? And like what you said, like, there's something inside that just makes you keep going. It was my mom. And in my head, I was always like, you have to keep living as if she was still here. Like, she wouldn't want you to be sad. She wouldn't want you to be making all these crazy decisions, which I have made some. But for the most part, I've done okay. So I continue to live my life every single day as if she was still here. And that's what I use. Like, in life, like, she was my greatest joy. And in death, she's been my biggest pain, but my greatest source of strength. To keep me going, my biggest motivation.
And pivoting on that also, David, where with Ida or anyone that's kind of seen your parents or seen a loved one or someone go through something where it's almost like a slow death, or you're bearing witness to that. You've worked with people or you've helped people that's on the other end. You know, it's one way to see my mom passing, but what does my mom feel knowing that she's about to pass? And there's so much that either she's trying to get out or she's trying to give to me. Like, you've been with people. What is that like on the other side when someone's talking to you about they know that they're going to pass?
Well, I think one of the things that worries family members is they go, I see them withdrawing. And I'll go, what's happening with your family member, the person who's dying that's withdrawing, is we're saying goodbye to our mom, to our dad, to our son, whoever it may be. They have a million goodbyes. They're saying goodbye to you and you and you and the sky and the sun and the earth. It becomes so much for them to say goodbye. And sometimes I'll go in the room and I'll talk to them about what have been your favorite things on earth? What part of you do you want to live on? To just keep those things going. I know this. Oh my gosh. You know, and there's a part of them that is going to live on in us. We always say when they died, a part of me died. And I always go, but a part of them lives on in you.
That is true.
You know, how do we say goodbye to the world we've lived in? And each of us, you know, sometimes someone will go, oh, I don't like the way they're dying. They should do this, this, and this. I always go, if you think someone's dying wrong, not to worry. There's a whole death saved just for you,
You have your
to
own.
do it your way someday. Until then, everyone else gets to do it their way.
What about sadness? You know, it just feels like there's sadness, and then there's guilt of continuing to live and be happy. You know what I'm saying? And not that there's a happy medium, but it's okay to be sad. The same way I feel like at one point, like when your son passed, I was like, when is he going to laugh again? When is he going to genuinely laugh again?
And it will take time for him to find that laugh. I'm sure it did for you to find
Jose,
that
can I
laugh
get you
again.
an Ide's chair real quick? Yes. Thank you, Ide.
And you thought you were going to cry first.
Yeah.
Right? My guess is it took a long time for you to find your laugh.
And it's
find your
still
smile.
taking time.
Right.
So I still feel guilty when I do want to laugh. And, you know, being around Big, I mean, it's just, it's a blessing for me, and it's a blessing in disguise, and it always has been.
Right.
But he has helped me to find laughter again. And not even just laughter. It's more than laughter. It's joy.
It's life.
And it's life. Yeah.
Fun.
And
You know,
just-
people always want to know, is there life after death for our loved ones? I'm like, is there life after death for you?
Right.
Do you get to live again?
Right.
Yeah.
And just the backstory, Jose's son was 5 years of age when he passed. He passed in a traffic accident, a vehicle accident.
Yeah.
And 5 years of age, we were at my house together. We were there when we got the call, and I seen his life change from answering a call to hanging up on a phone call, and wondering why God put me there to drive him to the hospital, why he asked me to come into the room. But I looked at him, and Jose has always he's been Christian for many years, and his son named Christian, rest in peace.
Yes.
And you do, just as a human being, David, I found myself questioning, like, how can this person that's so close to God, how can he pay this ultimate price of losing his only son, his 5-year-old son? Am I wrong for that question?
No, there is no wrong question. And there's power in being able to question things. And it's interesting, we have a lot of underlying beliefs. We have underlying beliefs that bad things shouldn't happen to good people, and yet they do.
Right.
Right? If you do everything right, something bad's not going to happen to you, right? And yet loss happens in this world. Loss happens whether you're Christian, Jewish, atheist. It happens to everyone. Death happens to everyone. Jesus it happened to.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a part of us that doesn't die, that continues on. And it doesn't mean we're not heartbroken
Right.
for so long after someone dies. As we talked about, how long will you grieve?
Right.
How long are they going to be dead?
Right.
For the rest of your life? But hopefully in time you'll grieve with more love than pain.
Do you feel guilty you felt guilty, Jose, when you laughed?
Yes. Yes, because
Or when you went on and celebrated with your family?
yeah, it was really hard for me to keep moving on and laughing and just being a dad to my daughters and a husband to my wife, because I couldn't be a dad to my son. And him crossing over
Is that true?
by himself. What's that?
Is that true? You couldn't be a dad to your son? Let me tell you, when he crossed, every bit of love went with him from you. He did not cross alone.
And, you know, I believe it, David. Faith is the only thing that actually carries me and allows me to stand. I realized a lot of stuff. And, you know, God spoke to me one time and he says, you know, we're not wired to understand the things that happen, but we just got to change our whys into thank yous.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I've learned to just thank God for the time that I did have him. I thank God for allowing me to have his son.
In all my decades of doing this work, no one has ever said to me, wow, I got a satisfying why.
Mm-hmm.
You will never get a satisfying
Wow.
why. If the doctors explain to you what happened,
Yes.
it's
No.
not satisfying.
Right.
It's never going to
No.
be satisfying. And I'll tell you, as we talked about last time, my younger son died.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been times, I always say, we talk about our lanes and all that, when what other people think of your grief is none of your business. And there have been times there's a brochure or something going out about a talk I'm doing, and people have written, I can't believe you're smiling in that brochure. This is grief, and I know what happened with your son, and how can you smile?
Yeah.
And I have to think, first of all, that's none of my business. Their opinions about them, not about me. But two, I had to really ask myself, would my son want me to smile again? My son would not want his death to have taken away my smile. I smile in honor of him.
Mm-hmm.
I laugh in honor of him.
Mm.
You know?
That's been a really huge guiding part of my healing is what would my mom want? And I think that's what helps you get over the guilt, the sadness, the
Yes.
fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes in my laughter, I hear my son. I hear my son laughing, and it allows me to laugh even more because he had that little distinctive voice, that little distinctive laugh. I used to always make him laugh. And just, you know, me laughing, I could hear him laugh with me.
How do you know you don't still make him laugh? My guess is you do.
I know I do.
My guess is you do.
Yeah. And one thing is, I never use the word lost because for me, I didn't lose my son.
LOST, right. You
Yes.
did not LOST.
I know where he's at.
Right.
And I know that one day I can bring him back. But the hope that I have is that one day I will get to him.
Right.
And you know, that keeps me going. And it allows me to just say, you know, one day down. You know what I mean? And we got a couple more to go.
Right.
You know?
What
Just
about
the countdown.
those with the first? You know, Liz, who's very dear to me, Liz, who I was afraid of losing a parent, you know, because I know how much Liz loved her parents. And I'm in a club that you don't want to have people be a member of. You know,
Right,
you remember there's so many people that's a member of this club that where you don't have your parents. And I didn't want Liz to be a member. And she recently, you know, lost her mom.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many firsts. And those firsts, David, I mean, they knock you on your ass. Your first day of waking up and not being able to call.
Right.
You know, your first Christmas, your first New Year, your
Just
first.
being in here, I'm realizing how fresh it is. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is really the first time I'm sitting with you having a real, other than, you know, us being at the funeral, but this is the first time I'm really sitting down talking about it. And it's it just feels so fresh all of a sudden. Like I thought, you know, it's kind of that thing. Like I called David, this is probably 3 days after my mom passed. And I'm like, I feel so at peace. I was like, I don't know, am I grieving wrong? He's like, just enjoy it. Because he knew what was coming.
You're like, it's coming.
I was actually I was probably in shock and running on adrenaline.
Right.
And, you know, so he was just kind of listening like she has no idea what's
It's
around
wild
the
how,
corner.
Liz, you can have 1 million people around you and still be so lonely at the same time.
Right.
You know, I would have people around me that was like, oh, you know, Big, you need anything? And, you know, and it felt like I had a nation. And then they would leave or, you know, or you could just be driving. You know, and everybody could be laughing, and I just look out the window and be like, damn, my mom is dead. Boom.
And, you know, especially anyone who has any notoriety and is well known, one of the things that I think about is you can have hundreds of thousands of people who love you, but there's 10 people that their love is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
is there anyone more a champion of us than our mom,
Right.
our dad,
yeah.
you know, our loved ones, our kids?
How do you go on when you felt like you just lost your cheerleader? You lost your coach. You lost your team. You know, like
Your roots. It's your roots. It's like what has kept you grounded to this earth. And I always say the hardest part is the way they loved you or the way they cared about you is what brought meaning to how you walked on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And when that person is gone, it's like, it's not just what they meant to me, it's what I meant to them. And now what do I mean standing here without them?
And I think about the evidence left behind that your mother existed on the planet
Yes.
is you.
I 100%.
You are the living, breathing evidence.
You're the legacy.
You are the legacy. You are the storyteller. You are the memory holder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we carry on for them. We live, they live within us.
You know, my husband lost his mom a year after we started dating. And something that I saw him go through was, and something that you just recently touched on, Big, was there's so many people that was hitting my husband up and I'm here for you, family members, whatever you need. You know, we loved your mom. We're here for you. And then slowly they just went away. And when he really did need them, they weren't around. And it broke him down. And now he's so angry in the fact that when certain family members hit him up, he's like, fuck that person. I don't want it. They were not there for me when I needed them most when my mom passed. What are things that people can do who aren't the person who's initially grieving or intimately grieving, but really genuinely want to be there for someone who is going through that?
Such a great question. Well, I think of the rule of 3. Be there at 3 weeks. Be there at 3 months, be there at 3 years. Our mind tells us, oh, you know, it's been a month, their grief is over.
Yeah.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
not over, not over. You know, the idea, I can remember a woman telling me how her aunt said to her after her mother had died, every Mother's Day, we're going to go out to lunch in honor of your mom, and we're going to talk about your mom. And I love that she didn't say, I'm going to be your mom, because she knew.
Right.
She said, we're going to keep her alive. And that's what we need people to do. We need people to show up and not sort of show us the silver lining or pretend we're over it, and not give all those things about, oh, you're fine, you're past it and all that, but just show up and be present. You know, grief isn't about doing. Grief is about being. It's about, I can't make this better. But I'm thinking about you. And oh my gosh, I knew your mom. And gosh, let's go out and talk to her. And you know, how you doing today with all that? And just being a witness. How do we be there and witness each other's lives?
And David, sometimes I think, you know, there's a naivete or there's a we don't know how. We don't know how to help someone. We don't know, you know, sometimes with me it was better, you know, to sit with me in silence. You know, sometimes let me be, don't push me through, whatever it is.
We get uncomfortable that we're going to say the wrong thing.
Like
Right.
I had a guy I knew, and I shared this with you, David, where he said, you know, oh yeah, she's not in pain anymore. She's in a better place. And I just didn't want that from him.
That's showing you the silver lining, and it's saying she's not in pain. Be happy. Don't be sad. And we want people just to see us where we are without changing. On grief.com, literally the most visited page is the best and the worst things to say to people in grief.
Yeah.
Because we're not taught that. We're not taught how to just be with you and not try to give you the silver lining. Isn't it good they died quick? No, they died. There's nothing good about it. What's wrong with that? You know?
What about someone that says, oh, they were 70, they were 75? Like, you know how some people say, oh, they lived a good life. Like your grandmother is in her 93. So, you know, like, and we know, like, man, 94, but
do the math. The math is, if your loved one lives to 100, that's a lot of years you've got to grieve that you've been with them. So what, we're going to say when they died of 100, oh, there's nothing to be sad about? You're going to miss them. You're not going to be able to call them or see them anymore. So there's no age you quit grieving someone, or they made it through that, so we're not going to grieve them. You're always going to grieve people.
And just briefly getting back to the first, like, How would you talk to Liz or anyone that's out there watching or listening about the first Christmas, the first birthday, the those first?
Do your best and know they're probably going to suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Thanks,
so
David.
true.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You know?
That is
I
true.
mean, you are not going to make Christmas like it was. It's not going to be the same. Do the best you can. There's probably people still alive. You have to still have a holiday for your other kids.
Right.
You don't want your other kids to be robbed of Christmas.
Right.
So we do our best, and whatever feelings come up, they just come up. We got to organically do this. So it is going to be hard. You know, there is no recipe to make that first Christmas, that first anniversary great. Couldn't do it. Anyone who says they can is lying to you. It's just going to be. And so we have to let our feelings be. We talked about earlier, you can't heal what you don't feel. So you have to let the underworld come up. You have to let those sad feelings come up just to be expressed. You know, one of the problems with the self-help movement is we're the first generation, we have feelings on feelings. Oh, I'm sad, but I shouldn't be sad. Oh, I'm happy, but I shouldn't be happy. No, stay in your
Right.
first generation. If you're sad, be sad. If you're happy, be happy. Like I said to Liz, if you're happy day 3, like run with that
Yeah.
because there's going to be some other days
Right.
coming.
You have to
So-
honor everything that you're feeling, you know,
Honor
because
where
when
you are.
when you don't, what I've learned is when you don't acknowledge whatever comes up for you, we end up suppressing it and it will manifest in another way. Whether that's road rage, whether that's hair loss, whether that's, I mean, sometimes it's even detrimental. And I've just learned that when the pain comes up, because David has taught me this, is when I feel extremely sad, I just feel sad. It's not because I'm a weak person or there's something wrong. It's because I lost my mom and that hurts. And that's it. And it's how much I loved her. And then again, you know, one of the things that has helped me along is understanding, we were talking about this earlier, is emotions only last 90 seconds. And anything past that is a story that we hold on to that causes us more pain.
Explain that.
It's that idea that, you know, you have a feeling and then you make up a story. Oh, I shouldn't be laughing again. I'm not a
Gotcha.
good parent if I laugh again. Oh, I must have not loved mom if I forgot today was her birthday or I forgot this was her death day. And then we make up a story that we punish ourselves with. The moment we judge ourselves, judgment demands punishment. We turn on ourselves or turn on someone else.
What about the I wish I would have? I wish I would have went
All
over.
those-
Negotiation.
Yeah, I wish I would have went over there one more day. I wish I would have called. I wish I would have said, you know, what about those that we live with?
Do a living amends. Here's what a living amends is. If I wish I would have called you more, my living, breathing apology to you is for the rest of my life. In your honor, I'm going to stay in touch with people. If I wish I would have told you I loved you, for the rest of my life, my living, breathing apology is I'm going to tell people I love them when I do, and I'm going to do it in your honor. So take whatever that regret is and do it now for the living in honor of the dead.
And you know, with us losing, with Kobe passing, there's a lot of people that, of course, didn't personally know Kobe, but there was a feeling of Kobe when Kobe passed. And I think that's one thing also, David, when you say, you know, people are, you know, hashtag girl dad, hashtag I need to work a little harder, whatever it is, people, for some reason, people were affected by Kobe's death in a way that was also inspiring. You know, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this.
It is a
you know.
wake-up call.
Yeah.
Well, I
You
was-
do not have forever.
Yeah, and I was saying, you know,
Yes.
when Kobe was here, just to add on to what David said, how we're not here forever. When Kobe was here, he was such a great teacher, right? He taught us about hard work, about family, about endurance, about showing up as your best, the Mamba mentality. But even in death, he was still our teacher. He taught us about impermanence. And that is one of the most important gifts we can learn. And that's truly, I feel like that was part of his assignment.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that was the tuition into the school of experience. Like you had to see the tuition that was paid, and you got to learn from that. Why do you feel like people felt so much for a person that they didn't know?
because they connected with him. He was a backdrop of our life. He connected to parts of us. You know, when we think about people who have died, whether it's Prince or whatever, their music helped us know ourselves. Who they are helped us know ourselves. You know, you asked me earlier about when people are dying, what I've learned from them. One of the things is I've learned balance. No one on their deathbed ever had the last words, I wish I put in one more hour at the office.
Yes.
No one ever said that. And to think about, I remember Kobe
I
being...
should say it just because.
Right.
I'm going to be the first.
You're gonna be like, no one else said
Yes,
it.
it is. I'm going to be the first.
No, go ahead, sir.
I think about Kobe and talk about lessons and work-life balance. When people would say, why aren't you coming to the Lakers game? He would say, that's a night I'd have to not be with my family.
Yeah.
And like to just have that honor, because we all want to please people, right? I mean, we're all people pleasers. Oh, you want me there? Well, sure, I'll be there.
Yes.
But there's a cost to our personal family. And, you know, when people pleasers quit pleasing, people are rarely pleased. But we have to do what's right for us.
Mm-hmm.
If our internal barometer goes, you know, my family is what is really important, I need to balance that with my work. He was an amazing teacher of that.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, selfishly, a lot of people are not selfishly, you know, we're mourning Kobe, you know, as fans. And
Right.
even though we didn't get to physically meet him or know him, you know, we were connected. But then you go and you think about the people that were immediately connected to him. So somebody that always comes to mind to me is, of course, Vanessa and the girls.
Right.
And I saw this Instagram post that Vanessa put up, and I want to read it to you. She said, I've been reluctant to put my feelings into words. My brain refuses to accept that both Kobe and Gigi are gone. I can't process both at the same time. It's like I'm trying to process Kobe being gone, but my body refuses to accept my Gigi will never come back to me. It feels wrong. Why should I be able to wake up another day when my baby girl isn't being able to have that opportunity? I am so mad. She had so much life to live. Then I realize I need to be strong and I need to be here for my 3 daughters. Mad I'm not with Kobe and Gigi, but thankful I'm here with Natalia, Bianca, and Capri. I know what I'm feeling is normal. It's part of my grieving process. I just wanted to share that in case there's anyone out there that's experienced a loss like this. God, I wish they were here and this nightmare would be over. Praying for all the victims of this horrible tragedy. Please continue to pray for all.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. To me, that she was even able to put that into words, you know, and put that message out, you know, to me, it's beautiful because it shows her faith. Her faith is still there.
One thing I pray for Vanessa every night for her and her daughters. And one thing I think about that brings me, and it selfishly brings me peace, is I think, look how much we learned from Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Look at his so-called Mamba mentality and everything, all the words of wisdom that he left for all of us. You watch any interview, you watch news, you
So
watch,
much.
there's so much just gems.
It was like he didn't waste time.
No.
Waste words. Like,
And everything he said was so valuable. Can you imagine living under the same roof with him
yeah.
That
for as long
mentality.
as she did? Her
Yeah.
mentality is so strong because she had one of the best teachers.
When you saw that, David, do you feel a degree of nervousness, for lack of a better word, for someone when you not? It's hard. I couldn't imagine losing my spouse. I couldn't imagine losing my spouse and one of my kids. So when you see Kobe Bryant, the way that it happened and the tragedy, are you concerned with, like, she's going to be in a world of hurt? I've seen something like this before.
How could she not be? Because I think about the layers. First of all, you have a woman who has lost her spouse. You have a woman who has lost her daughter. You have kids who have lost their sibling. You have kids who have lost their father. I mean, how can it not be a house of pain? And that she was authentic about that pain. And authentic about how, you just don't get this together and integrate it. Her authenticity is what's going to get her through. The ruin she recognizes will be the transformation. I mean, the idea that she can put those words out there and just be so real is what's going to carry her through this. And that love that was there is going to carry. And the idea that she recognizes I have kids. I have to like stay here for and be strong for. And one of the things that kids need to see is they need to see us grieve fully and live fully. Not grieve all the time
Right.
and not live all the time, but grieve fully and live fully.
The enoughs.
What would your advice be to a lot of the fans of Kobe that won't be able to attend the memorial because obviously there's not enough space at Staples and so many people submitted for, tickets to be there. And I feel like a lot of people are upset because they feel like they're not getting that closure, which I personally believe that a memorial service does not give you closure, by the way. But I
don't believe in closure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't even believe in the
But
word.
what would your advice be to those fans, that wanted to be there? Like, what would you say to them?
The thing that you wanted to happen at Staples Center is not actually at Staples Center. It's in your heart. So you will be able to watch it. It will be in your heart. You have to look no further than your own feelings to connect with that.
And you can gather with friends. Like I'm
Right.
getting together with a bunch of my friends and we're all watching it together like a Laker game. We're
Yeah.
honoring him. We're
Beautiful.
honoring his
Wow,
legacy.
right,
And
right.
it feels good to like see all the same faces of your friends that you would normally watch a game with.
Right.
But now we're
and
just
be here with them.
and yeah, exactly.
Because there's so
It's
many
the
people that
connection.
wish they could be with this person or that person that we can't be with.
Yeah.
So celebrate those that we can be with.
And it's a reminder that support is so fundamental to the grieving process, to life in general. Like that is what has pulled me through 1000% is just seeing the amount of support that I received from my friends, especially. Of course you're going to be there for your family, but I'm really privileged to have a David Kessler. But just the way your friends show up for you, the week my mom passed, you're not thinking about certain things like, what am I going to eat
Eating,
tomorrow?
yeah.
Or who's going to be here with me when I all of a sudden look up and you feel abandoned. And I didn't have to ask those questions because food was delivered. Your wife, Big, stayed the night with me. I didn't have to think about certain things. They just showed up. And what I've learned from that and what a dear friend of ours, Andrea, told me is that
Andrea Kagan, wonderful editor.
wonderful
writer.
editor. And she said to me, Liz, you seem so surprised. She goes, to get a good friend, you have to be a good friend.
Yeah. Wow.
And she says, and that's what you've done. So it's coming back now to you.
And I think that's why it also hurt too. And that's another one of those selfish, like good people, and like, why does that happen to good people? Do you believe in an afterlife?
I do.
Thank you.
I do. I do believe in an afterlife. And
What is the afterlife?
no clue.
Right.
No clue.
Same.
Wouldn't begin to tell you.
Right.
And I also know someday my prayer is I will be able to see my son, my parents, everyone who's died again. And I would hate to think my son would say to me, what was like the last 30 years of your life like? Tell me what else you did. What happened? Nothing. I just grieved you. Wait, remember you were on Earth with the skies changing and the weather. And remember the food on Earth? Wasn't that amazing? And what about all the people? Wait, you did nothing after I died? He would want me to grieve fully and live fully. And one of the things Liz just said that I want to come back to you said about, people are always asking, what can I do? First of all, when people are in grief, they don't have a list of what they need.
Right.
So we got to let go of that question.
Go ahead and pick me up.
What do you need? What do you need me to do? One of the things to me you're talking about in grief, after my son died, probably about, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, I got up, I'm hungry. I look in my freezer and there is a frozen lasagna that I still don't know to this day who stuck it in there. But someone just knew they're going to be in grief at some point. Let me just give something like that. One of the magical things I saw, amazing, just in all tragedies. I was in Houston after the flooding, after the hurricane. I'm in water up to my waist, going into homes with people who their house is underwater. A man drives up with 20 pizzas and begins handing them out. And I said, do you live around here? And he goes, no. I said, do you own a pizza company? He said, no. But he said, I've been through bad things. I know they're hungry. I just wanted to show up. He didn't call them and go, "Hey, do you want a pizza? What do you want?" I mean,
Yeah.
he just showed up.
How do you want your support to
How do
show
you
up?
just show up for people
Yeah.
without
Right.
asking?
Especially when you don't know what to say. That sometimes is the best way, is just to do something, whether it's just sending flowers or a card or just even a text saying, I don't know what to say.
But I'm here.
But I'm here.
And I love you.
Exactly.
Are there various griefs as well? Like there's I lost my mom, I lost my son, I lost my grandmother,
My
I
pet.
lost my pet. Yeah, like there are not various, but there's different. There's like I lost my mom. I couldn't imagine losing my son or my daughter. I couldn't imagine. Are there various griefs?
I don't think we can compare grief. The truth is, when people say to me, "What's the worst loss?" I always say, "Yours. Yours is the worst loss."
Wow.
I don't know what it's like to lose your son, Christian. You don't know what it's like to lose David. I don't know what it's like to lose Ida. I don't know what it's like for someone's house to burn down. I don't know what it's like for someone to get a divorce after 30 years. It's crazy that we're like, which one's the worst? They're all hideous. They're all hideous. And everyone's grief is unique. I can only be here with you through this.
It's so true. Everyone's grief is unique because I have 3 siblings and I've seen
They do it differently.
completely different.
It's like asking if our thinking is the same or if we all have the same tools in our tool belt.
Right.
A lot of us don't. So
Yeah.
our coping skills are going to be different. Therefore, our grief is going to be different.
And
different.
you actually had a different mother than your sister did.
Correct.
I mean, it was the same human being, but we all have different relationships with
Yeah.
people, right?
Very true.
We all, like, Ida was many things to many different people, so we all experienced loss differently. Even if it was the same person who died, we all have those different losses.
My second brother didn't go to my mom's viewing. Like, I just remember the day of the hospital, we were all at her bed because we knew my mom was going to pass. And I just remember seeing like 2 teardrops and then he left and I never saw him again until like way after the burial service. Like, he didn't show up to anything. And I never had the conversation because I remember being angry at my brother. I was just like, how are you not going to be here? Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, why are you not here? And it wasn't until years later that I had a conversation with my brother and I asked him, like, why didn't you go? Like, why weren't you there for my mom? He's like, I didn't want to remember my mom like that. I didn't want to put my mom 6 feet under. I didn't want to see her in a casket.
And
He's
how
like,
old was he around that time?
He was 15.
And,
I was 13,
and
he was
that's
15.
Even that is
Yeah.
a lot of wisdom and a lot of burden for a 15-year-old. And I did also want to touch on, the sensitivities. We're men, we don't cry. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right,
how
of course.
as men, and not the backbone, the strong one, but a lot of times men don't want to show their emotions.
If you aren't feeling like you want to cry, no one needs to make you cry. On the other hand, when someone goes, I'm a man, we got to hold it together. I'm like, did the firemen at 9/11 hold it together?
Right.
We need models of people, men who cry. It's okay. Well, if it's all right for the firemen when they lose their coworker at 9/11 to cry, it's okay to cry when your mom dies. It's okay for you to cry when your son dies. As men, we think we've got these rules that just aren't even true.
It's so crazy because I felt this huge sigh of relief, like my shoulders dropped when Shaq started crying. Because I thought, especially
He
with
gave us permission.
especially with the Latino culture, it's like so much has been embedded in us to, the men to be strong.
Yeah.
And I just thought, thank you, Shaq.
And that's one thing I know, Adrian, we were speaking outside. You touched on as well. If I can get, did you have something for David real
Really quick, yes.
And, let me get Adrian right here. Adrian, if you could take where Liz is at, and then Natalie, if you could take where Natalia is at.
I was just going to say, when my son went home to be with the Lord, it was really hard for me to put on different masks. And I had to do it for different people. My daughters, my wife, family. It was like, I was almost like I couldn't mourn the way I needed to because I was so busy trying to be the father, the dad,
The man.
the man.
Right,
Yes.
right.
So it was really hard for me to do that. And it was just like, that's the part that I kind of sometimes think I didn't get to.
How do we release that obligation?
So here's one of the things
next
we got to
person?
be aware of. First of all, when you're in grief, especially the grief over like losses like your son dying, you have more grief than any one person can take. So you have to be careful. Your kids should see you cry, but they should also see you continuing to live. Now, because you don't show them all your tears,
Right.
you got to make sure you show those tears to someone else, not just suppress them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't do all your crying in front of your kids. They need to know, like, dad's still in
Yes.
charge.
Right.
Like, we still got a leader here. But just don't push those tears under and never release them. You know, there's something so even sadder about a tear unexpressed.
Thank you.
And Adrian, I wanted to speak with you. There's sometimes we don't know where to go as well. You know, we feel like to go get help, it's not manly. To speak to someone, we're seeing more now where mental wellness and mental health, we're having more dialogue, and it feels like it's not as so-called taboo as it used to be to, talk to people and get help. What do you think, Adrian, sometimes when we feel like I can't express myself, there is no one to talk to, or when we do go talk to someone about mental health or mental, wellness, that we're weak?
I think we have to do a better job in removing the stigma.
Mhm.
In certain cultures, the stigma of getting help is so burdensome and heavy. So once I believe we're able to remove that and have a conversation that this is not judgmental to you, it's not judgmental to you as a man. And Liz really hit home when she was saying in the Latino culture and in the African American and many other cultures, they're brought up with this certain beliefs when you're little that emotions are not supposed to happen. Again, you're not supposed to cry. You're Latino, you're strong. Do this. And so much of that becomes damaging as we become older, and not just to yourself, but then to your culture, to your people, because you pass that on. So it's a matter of stepping back and say, I'm not going to embrace this anymore.
And to learn, can you be strong enough to cry?
To do it. And we got to
Can you
give
be
ourselves
strong
permission.
enough to cry? Right.
Absolutely. It's
And
the
these
permission.
two ladies are from New Moon Wellness. Do you feel sometimes that we do have a harder time as either people of color or as male, in our genre of hip hop too, that we don't express ourselves?
Oh, absolutely. It's all in our music. It's in the social media. Just the girth of men is so upfront. So when you mentioned when Shaq cried, it was like you're talking about the biggest man in basketball, and tears fell. I think that was the release for everyone to be like, yes.
Yes, that was the permission.
That was the permission.
If he can cry, I can
I
cry.
can do it. And sometimes we need that. You can? Oh, great. I can. And Nat and I, we were speaking about men and what they can take on themselves and getting and supporting themselves as men. It doesn't always have to look traditional and what we know in therapy, but just also developing your own support group, and that support group being developed with your own rules. What are you coming to the group for? What do you want this group to look like?
Right.
What do you want to
And that is
discuss?
true, Adrian, because I know people that's been in support groups that said I had to pull myself out of that group because it took me further into where I didn't want to be, and do we find that sometimes, David, where we don't stay the course? Maybe we were just in it while, like if we would have stayed a little longer, then we would have got to where we were going. But there are some where it's like, dude, I don't want to be around so much of this all the time. So when you say do it your way, I think that's great as well. Like, man, we just gonna go play some basketball. We just gonna hang out. If we have the conversation, we have the conversation. If we're silent, we're silent. There's times Jose and we just roll in silence. I know you see a little kid. I know you think. I think. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you just roll in silence. And I think we've been a support group for each other as well.
And when you're with a true friend, you have nothing to prove.
That's
Yes.
You have
Yes.
nothing to prove, you know, that idea. And like you said, there are people who have walked into a group and they go, "Ooh, this is too much," or "It's not enough," or "I don't like them," or "They're too old, they're too this." It just means they're not the right group.
Right.
Keep looking.
Keep looking.
Yeah.
Correct.
There's a million groups out there.
What about when we say we don't need help? When we think that we got it in that?
We're human beings. We have to be able to experience that range of emotion. That's normal. And I think a lot of men need to hear you have permission. You have permission to be vulnerable. That's okay. And the anger, what we talked about earlier, the anger is perfectly normal. It's what you do with that anger. So a lot of times, because there's no safe space, we end up imploding. We hold it in, and well, not we, men hold it in, they implode, and it manifests in other ways that are unhealthy. So if we don't create that space and that outlet, it becomes dangerous. It becomes dangerous to ourselves, to our family, to our society, and our community in general as a whole. And as we were just saying, you know, it may not be a grief group that you need. It may be just tapping into your network of doing something that can just take you out of that sadness and that mindset and just give you a healthy, positive outlet. I know something that I wanted to mention that happened since Nip's passing was that you see all these book clubs and these reading groups kind of coming up and springing out of nowhere across the country, where it's just it's men creating this space for one another. And you know, the book club is the subject of the group, but there's so much more growth that exists and communication that exists within that support system that is meaningful to people, and it gives people that space to just be a part of the conversation.
Where do we go get help? You know, I know I don't know if there's a .org or .com, but you know, just do we go to support groups?
Well,
Do
I'll
we go
tell
to
you,
grief?
on grief.com, there is a link to find counselors in your area, to find free groups in your area. So there is help out there. And if someone's like, "I just don't want to go do that," on grief.com, there's free online classes. You know, I never turn anyone away for lack of funds. So there's help out there if you're looking for it. One of the things I want to say before we leave the subject of men is we weren't taught how to express our anger in healthy ways. Whether it's taking a run or boxing or whatever it may be, if you came into my bedroom, one of the things you would see that's always there is I have a bat by my bed. And there are times something happened, piss me off, I take it to the bat. And I use that bat and I hit
the
that
mattress.
bed. I hit the mattress. And I'll tell you, if I've got a call to make with someone I'm angry, I put it on the mattress first, then I make the call. But we don't know, how do I find a way to get that anger out without punching the wall? Why do I want to punch my wall? Now I got a wall to fix.
Right.
You know?
And I got more problems than
right
problems.
now I got more problems. I'd rather like learn to take a run or learn to hit a punching bag or a bed or pillows or scream in the car. But no one teaches men how to do that. No one teaches anyone how to handle anger, really.
Because so often when you see a little boy cry, you say, "Stop it. Be a man.
Man up.
And man
Suck
up.
it up.
And he's 2. And
Yeah.
I'm like, he's
Right.
not a man yet.
You're right.
Right,
And
right,
so
right,
we
right.
start so early. It just amazes me, some of the things we just naturally say and not realize the impact of some of our words and what we pass on because we're taught that. I seen it, so we pass it on. You don't do that. Stop. And then a little girl cries, and we're just like, "Oh, catch her."
Right.
And I think women need to be held accountable too for holding that safe space for men, because we don't want to be that judgmental wife or girlfriend or mother that we're you know, the vulnerability is scaring us. It's like we need to make that space too. We're all in this together.
Right.
We're all at some point going to experience that grief, so we have to just create that supportive space and be accountable. You know, be accountable that person feels like they're emotionally safe to express themselves and be vulnerable when they need to.
So grief.com is where we
There's-
can find
There's
so many
help there,
pointers and
right.
directions.
And your local church usually has a grief group, your local hospital. There's tons of places here
And I really
in every town.
want to take away the stigma that it's weak, or it, you know, we're just laid through it, or I'll toughen through it. I'll toughen through it. You know, I know at my age now, just talking, dialogue. You know,
Liz,
we
with
used to think-
wordful. I mean,
Yeah,
how
oh
do we
my
use
gosh,
our words?
man.
Using words.
Yeah, and if anybody, Natalia, Liz, Ide, please just jump up and grab the mic because we're going to close. I just want to hear everybody because this is very therapeutic for those that's in the room, for those that's listening, for those that's watching, you know, and we want to continue to have this open support. We want to continue to have people get in touch with grief.com. We want to continue for people to get in touch with New Moon Wellness. Is there a site or Instagram?
We have both. Our website is newmoonwellnessinc.com. Our Instagram handle is newmoonwellnessinc. We have a lot of stuff that we post on our Instagram page that offers self-help tips and that helps kind of walk people through the self-care. I think that's just important to remember too, that no matter what you're going through, the self-care is monumental.
And I've been knowing Natalie since she was like 10 years of age, right?
So true.
And my daughter was going through some anxiety issues, you know, and I pretty much, you know, we in and out, I could say I damn near helped raise her, you know. Now I'm calling her late at night, like, okay, my daughter's going through this. What do I do? You know, what do I do? And not going anywhere outside. I remember exactly where I would sit and call and do this, and you helped me through a situation or help me getting through a situation that I felt as a parent so alone, so vulnerable. There was nothing I could do to tell my daughter, don't have anxiety. There was no check I could write. There was no phone tap I could do. There was no artist there was no song there was nothing that daddy could do that could say, all right, it's gone. You know, and my one person that was a little deep voiced girl with a mustache, I called her. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank you, Natalie. I want to thank New Moon Wellness for everything that you guys are doing and the road that I see you guys going on. Jose, you know, I love you. Adrian, thank you for coming in with the wisdom. And
Wordiful, where can we find Wordiful?
Yeah, Wordiful is.
Wordiful.com.
Let me tell you, Liz. Now, I worked with Liz for 10 years, right? Liz, there's people that talk to me about Wordiful that don't know we did radio together.
Wow.
Or they're not radio, like, they're not neighborhood
Right.
fans. You know what I'm saying? They just this thing that you created called Wordiful that is so empowering.
I love it.
And I see so many women and us men, you know what I'm saying? There are so many women
everyone.
that are, but really that look at you and say, I love Liz. I want to be Liz. Liz got me into this. They're strong. And I'm like, Liz? No.
Here's one thing I do want to say.
A little closer to the mic, Liz.
Here's something I do want to say is that our stories are our superpower. That's where you hold your strength, is in your story, because we're all like, you know, I was telling David before we walked in the room, it's humbling when you walk into any room to know that we're all healing from something. And it's in sharing our stories is how we support each other. You know, the best support you can give someone is just to listen, be a good listener. And that's part of the healing process, is just, you know, when I lost my mom, it was just being able to sit and tell my friends stories about her, my favorite memories, things that I'll miss. And just for them to listen, they didn't have to say, oh, she's in a better place. They didn't have to say, you're going to be okay.
Right.
They just listened and they countered it with their favorite stories. So I think that's some of the best support we can offer each other.
How strong is it also, Liz, to know that you do have that outlet? When my mom passed, I felt bad. My mom passed on a Wednesday. I was at work on a Friday. Not because I didn't love my mom. I love my mom with everything. It was, I had a place to go to.
And to laugh.
Yes, and I felt bad that my brothers and sisters didn't have this place to go to. And I think with Wordiful also, you was right back. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't for us, it was also for you. You know what I'm saying? How great was it to have a place that you could go to that was a safe zone for you as well, where you could be vulnerable?
Yeah. Well, Wordiful started when my mother was diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's. It was realizing she was losing her words. So how was I going to use mine? And it, without even realizing it, it became my journal entries, it became my diary, my confessional, my church, my salvation. And that's why I say your superpower is your story, because so many other people can say, I know what you're going through. I've been through that. I've felt that vulnerability. That's where our connection is. Like, the biggest support we can have is our community.
And I think that's what we're building here as well.
Definitely
I think
so.
that's what we're building here as well. I don't know, David, if you want to take us all on the road with you. You know what I'm saying?
We're all experts
I'm
now.
going next week, Tamron Hall. Anyone want to come?
You know, Dave, before we get you out of here, so many people come to you. Where do you go? Like, where does the beautician go to get her hair done? Where does the person go to...
Where does the therapist go to get her therapy?
Manicurist.
Where does the therapist go to get her therapy? Have you noticed that the people that do your nails got the most fucked up nails?
Yep.
And not a bad way.
It's a sacrifice.
Where do you go?
Well, I'll tell you, a few places.
Yes.
Right. A few places. One, after my son died, I went to grief groups. I went to a grief group. I went to a counselor. I did exactly what I told other people to do. And I'll tell you, just how you talked about reaching out to her about your daughter, we reach out to our friends. Because sometimes I'll call a friend and they'll tell me something and I'm like, God, I never thought of it that way. Like, a friend isn't in the midst of the story. A friend can help us see, where we are in the storm. Right, soundboard. So I reach out to my friends like everyone else.
Did you feel like people were, when your son passed, did you feel like people were afraid to talk to you? Because I wouldn't know what to say to the man that know how to say it all. Yeah, how do I talk to the grief expert?
I'll tell you, I think for some people it was weird. They were like, ooh, it shouldn't happen to you. And it's like, why? And it's like, well, why not me? I mean, everyone
Why
goes
not
through
me?
struggles in this life. I wish I could have gotten an exemption.
Yeah.
But there isn't any to be had in this lifetime. I mean, everyone deals with loss. And we're talking about, reaching out to people. At the same time, everyone is going through a struggle right now you know nothing about.
Right.
Everyone is going through a struggle you know nothing about. So be kind.
It's
Is
so
there
true.
a such thing called near-death experiences, or when people say, I crossed over, I saw something?
Well, I'll tell you what I've seen that's amazing. And I actually wrote a book about this years ago that's so amazing, is I have learned when people are dying, they often get a visit from someone who has already died.
Wow.
That the dead come to greet the dying. When people are on their deathbed, they'll suddenly go, Mom's here, Grandma's here. And we go, oh, you're just hallucinating. But the dead do come to greet the dying. I wrote this book years ago. When I researched this, I interviewed doctors, nurses, clergy, priests, ministers about how the dead, it's called Visions, Trips, and Crowded Rooms, who and what you see before you die. But we do. There is something that we're not alone at death. And sometimes I think so many times, do you know who's the number one person that greets people when they die? Our mother.
Wow.
The person who was there when you took your first breath comes back when you're taking
Do you
your last.
feel like that's why some people, it seemed like they were just so at peace? I think
My
we
mom
are
looks
the
so at
ones
peace.
that's
Right.
tearing our hair out.
Of course,
and,
you're
you know,
right.
And they're at peace.
Right.
I had
They went to sleep. Their pain is over. Our pain is just beginning.
David, I had an experience where I had some surgery, I had some complications, and I literally was fighting for my life.
Right.
Literally. You cannot tell me I wasn't dying. There were times when I came out and I was like, oh my God, this is it. And I kept trying to say my name and my social security number.
Right,
And I was
right.
like, don't go. And I started thinking about, like, my wife was pregnant, my son, and you cannot tell me that I didn't go to the other side and I came back. And I could have said, oh, maybe I was on some morphine. Maybe this was
Right.
I felt like a real near-death experience. Do you believe in those?
I do, and we have to trust our experiences. We have to trust that. We don't know what that's like. When people talk about, I haven't died, how would I know what that's like?
Right.
Can you tell the story of the babies? It's my favorite story.
Oh, okay. So
This is great.
in the book I wrote about my son dying and how everyone can finding meaning, I tell a story of these two twins in the womb. And one twin says to the other twin before they're born, do you think there's an after this? And the other twin goes, of course not. There's nothing after this. This is all there is. And the other baby goes, I've heard stories that there's a mother. And the other baby goes, a mother, like an all-caring being that's there? There's no mother. That's a crazy thing. We've just got this cord. There's nothing besides this cord that gives us food. There's no after this. And why would you think there's a mother? And the other baby goes, because sometimes in the silence, I think I feel that mother. And she's always with us.
Wow.
And then, of course, they get born, and there's a whole nother world after that.
That's beautiful.
We have no idea what's next.
Bro, you almost fucked me up with that. I was really trying to sit here. David, thank you once
Thank you so
again
much.
You're
for
welcome.
coming in, giving us your time, man. Grief.com. People lock it in. You know, we go to so much, you know, so many vices, and I think that's a place to where we really need to land. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for sharing y'all stories. Hopefully, everybody that's listening and watching, man, hopefully you'll take this, use this as a tool. Don't watch it once. Mark things, take notes. You know what I'm saying?
Send it to someone.
Yeah,
Share
send it to someone, share it.
Thank you, Big. For
Thank
opening up
you.
Your platform.
Yes.
This speaks volumes of you.
Thank you so much,
Yes,
man. And
thank
once
you.
again, to
And Liz,
New
thank you
Moon
for
Wellness.
bringing us together.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Natalie.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
your
Adrian.
work.
And they can
Thank
find
you.
y'all once again at.
NewMoonWellnessInc.com and Instagram, New Moon Wellness INC.
Thank you for sharing your stories, Ida.
Thank you, Big.
Jose,
Thank you, Big.
Natalia. Thank you, guys. Daniel, thank you. We're going to have to get Daniel in front of the camera. I know in his head he was like, man, I want to say something, but got to keep moving these cameras around. But thank you, guys, man. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Live your life. Enjoy your life. And as I say, man, smiles bring smiles. So continue to smile with people, man, and love and hug. And trust me, we'll get through it. Y'all, thank y'all for your time. Thank you all for your time. We are Big Boys
Big
Neighborhood.
Boy.
Thank y'all.
Boy, thank you.